off the ban phase between both OrgLess and Reciprocity. Oh. And he had a 0 ban rate going into today's matchup, but there you go. That will mar his perfect record as Thatcher is the very first ban.
Interesting to see, but not entirely surprising. You would often see him on Oregon. I think it's probably one of his most commonly banned on maps, but on a map like Border also makes a lot of sense. It's going to make the information gathering for the defense quite a lot easier. It's going to slow down the attackers more. You're going to be able to potentially bandit trick more efficiently, and those Legion traps will be more important. Mira being banned out alongside Glass for Reciprocity, and we'll see what that final one is. Looks like it's going to be Maestro. Would have been weird if we had had either Echo or Echo and Maestro both in play. Doesn't often happen. Would have been weird if it had. So Maestro being banned out makes a whole lot of sense. So does the Mira. I mean, overall, these are just pretty basic bans apart from the Thatcher.
Yeah, especially when you look at the context of the way that a Thatcher ban happens on Border. Armory lockers, you know, you're going to rely on your Thatcher to dispatch any breach denial that you're going to find on either the office walls, maybe fountain walls, you know, maybe armory walls, archives walls, whatever you really find, that's going to be gone, and it's going to be incumbent to run either maybe an IQ, maybe a Twitch. We see both on the board here, actually, from Reciprocity.
I mean, if you think about how Border plays, then having the IQ Twitch is... Okay, yeah, IQ Twitch generally is going to be a good replacement for a Thatcher. You're going to be able to find the targets, and then you can direct your Twitch to the targets. But, I mean, we're talking about Border as well. You got to factor in that soft destruction, especially vertically. You've got the Buck and the Zofia. That's going to be a lot of more pressure on those gadgets. Say you put a Buck and an IQ underneath. You don't even need the Twitch drone to go inside. And since the Mira is banned out, the Twitch is exclusively brought for the electronics. So this is going to be, I'm guessing, a bit of a combination punch here from Reciprocity, as they're going to try and focus on taking out that utility.
The only thing that might thwart a possible Twitch drone would be the fact that the mute jammers can often be put in certain locations where a Twitch drone just can't get access to it. And that's going to be why you have the IQ, that's going to be why you have the Buck, that's going to be why you have the Zofia. Because most of the places where the mute jammers will be put, the second floor of Border, will allow you to get underneath it and use the soft destruction to take them out, which will then free the path for the Twitch drone to be able to go in.
Retro going to be quick into the east stairs. You might call it a waste on a default cam, but that east stairs camera is going to distract you as you enter there, and that will free up a little bit of time, potentially win an engagement for the attackers. So a smart use of the zap there from Reciprocity. Taking it slow. They got a soft wall into Armory. Quite interesting. You do not see that very much. That's going to make the Thermite's job kind of, well, I mean, different. He's definitely not going to be opening up that Armory wall. But there might still yet be a commitment to the office take. So you can see the reason they've opened the Armory wall, actually, is that OrgLess is playing the 75% hold inside a CCTV. They got Yeti Man playing CCTV. That's very dangerous, but at the same time can really get your team an advantage, especially if the enemy decides to push into offices. And it seems as though OrgLess is trying to force a bait into office take. Retro's going to get the first kill, though, onto Yeti. Long angle from east stairs into CCTV. Yeti must have been looking through a punch hole there and gives away his life.
And that's a dock trying to use, and there you go. You can see it. It doesn't actually look like a punch hole. That looks like
a full rotation.
That looks like a full rotation. Might have been caused by the attackers, though, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But you're going to lose the dock, which is unfortunate. Yeti plays a style that is very aggressive, and he does tend to be either the opening frag or the person getting the opening frag. So obviously, something to keep in mind of here. Now, knowing that there's a mute jammer on the other side of this wall, you're going to require some kind of destruction on that breach denial, and Foxy taking out Acid is going to give great breathing room for Reciprocity. Crazy also losing quite a bit of HP as he's on the move downstairs trying to get back. But both of those stairwells from Reciprocity will be watched. It's a trade as my man takes out Skies, but Retro's there, picks up kill number 2, finds the mute, returning to site, leaving Brian with the SMG-11. Try and close people off, and he'll finish off Foxy. This is a long rotate from a man. His position will be given away, and he's just going to wait outside. It's going to be a marker for the rest of the opponents to be able to find him as he tries to get in through Passport, but there's not an awful lot of time left. There you go, my man finally pinched out and leave Brian alone inside a small office. He's got the Zofia on one side, and as he tries to detonate that toxic canister, he'll be laxing, collecting the kill. That'll be it for round number 1.
So the strategy that was set up there from OrgLess was a bit of a bait and switch. What they were trying to do is bait Reciprocity into taking office by leaving the armory wall unreinforced and saying, hey, you don't know what's going on here. You don't want to attack this. It's a little bit weird. We haven't reinforced armory wall. And granted, OrgLess did achieve what they wanted. They forced Reciprocity into an office attack. But it didn't work out well for OrgLess. A big part of that, in my mind, is because we saw Yeti get picked off so early on as the doc in CCTV. His job was to do quite a lot of the work there. He was supposed to delay the office push. You could see that. It was evident thanks to the rotation holes and murder holes that were opened up in abundance from CCTV into office itself. So losing that ACOG on the angle made the hold there for OrgLess quite a lot more difficult. There were a couple other tools that OrgLess set up to hold office that did not get utilized properly or were countered directly by Reciprocity. For example, Crazy tried to rotate downstairs as the mute and C4 from below. Acid got picked off really early on in the engagement as the Echo. So pretty much every single tool that OrgLess was setting up to hold onto the B bomb site, whether it was Yeti in CCTV, whether it was Acid all the way in Armory, or whether it was the C4 of Crazy from below, got taken out. The only one that managed to do any work was Brian as the smoke, and he did quite a lot, as did my man, actually, to be fair, getting that kill on CCTV, but it just wasn't enough to recover fully. Good job to Reciprocity seeing the tools and countering them.
I'm a little confused as to how OrgLess lost 2 bodies inside of CCTV without Reciprocity even entering the door to CCTV. Both of those came through east stairs or from the holes that were opened up in Fountain all the way in to monitors and CCTV side. That just strikes me as very sloppy on behalf of OrgLess and over-peaking, which is a team like OrgLess, that's their wheelhouse. They will over-peak everything and get far too aggressive, and sometimes it works, and in that case, it didn't.
Well, definitely something that OrgLess is going to have to work on, just like covering their mute jammers. Retro just got serious efficiency out of that Twitch drone, and honestly, it's on Crazy. He wasn't paying attention to his jammers. He was distracted by a different job, and now because of that, Reciprocity is going to be able to open up that office wall should they choose to. And that's a little bit funny there from Retro. He must have zapped the camera, and then he still checked it. I do that too. I think most people do. If they're going to zap the east stairs camera, they'll still double check it when they go into the building. But Yeti back alive as we have changed rounds. He will be playing in CCTV again. Last time, he was the first pick and unable to accomplish anything in the round. You can see that he is playing much safer this time around, and expect him to accomplish much more because of that, or at least distract Reciprocity.
Very similar setup, though, with all these walls on both sides of Archives into Armory, and then also inside of Fountain, completely opened up, and then no reinforcements whatsoever on the Armory side of things, anticipating that Reciprocity will decide to go in through Archives. Also, you mentioned how effective Retro was on this first drone. We just saw the same thing from the second drone there as well, cleaning up those mute jammers. And though Crazy won't have the utility in hand nor on the ground, he's going to play underneath, and that's a big explosive start to the killing. But it's going to come quite late in the round, 1 minute to go, and there goes the only hard breach on Reciprocity's side.
2 of the 3 major mistakes that OrgLess made in the previous round have now been corrected. The C4 from Crazy underneath was successful. Yeti has not died in CCTV. Acid is still alive, so if he manages to influence this round, it will be the 3rd mistake corrected. Excellent shot there from Foxay on the main stairs. My man will go down. Player who was getting kills in the last round. That's going to be a good boon for Reciprocity, but they've already lost their thermite, and that means they can't make a rotation into the B-bomb site.
I know there's a yokai drone there, but that wall, very tough to take through. Foxay going to get 1 yokai, and then the second as well. Oh, a precise shot from Brian around the bomb chassis all the way over to Skies. And as Yeti's going to peek, he's going to get down. Tries to get himself back up. Crazy is there for the trade, but Laxing, who started over towards CCTV side, has gotten in and is very, very close to being able to take control of site. Retro's going to wander in with the best gun in the hands of him, but he'll miss the shot. And once again, Brian playing exceedingly well. It's going to be very difficult for Laxing, who's going to have to go for frags here, but he knows he has no chance. 1 second left on the clock, and perseverance and patience from OrgLess will carry them onwards. An excellent round, given to the fact as well that Reciprocity were just a bit too slow, and they had to make that change after losing that hard breacher. They did so, and they got tantalizingly close to taking the round, but close only counts in what is it? What do they say, Michael? Horseshoes and hand grenades.
I don't know that one. Thank you for teaching it to me.
I've taught you it, my son.
Oh, okay. Well, OrgLess, in that round, corrected every single mistake they made in the first. Again, it's the C4 from below from Crazy. Brian did a whole lot of work, just like he did in the first round. My man did die on the main stairs, but he was the least influential operator in the entire round. You saw the echoes persist for the whole round, and the second Yoke drone looked like the IQ got it, but it actually stayed alive and was able to gather quite a lot of information in archives late in that round. And then Yeti did not get picked off in CCTV. So major props to OrgLess, seeing all the mistakes they were making and correcting them. Reciprocity becoming a little predictable in that round and attacking through office once again. I understand that a unreinforced armory wall can maybe be daunting or distracting, but it's clearly OrgLess trying to bait Reciprocity into taking from the other side, and I'm surprised, honestly, that Reciprocity committed to that office take 2 times in a row. Could have maybe been a different result if they had decided to try and take Armory. But it's also entirely possible that it had nothing to do with how OrgLess set things up. It was just that Reciprocity wanted to attack office. Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like there was a match that we watched just a couple days back. It's the Mock at Empire match, where, if you recall, Empire went over towards the office/archive side every single round that they attacked on.
Yeah.
No matter where the bomb site was, Empire took office and archives first.
And it worked out pretty well for them.
It worked out pretty darn well.
They lost 1 round because of it.
Yeah.
But, and that was because the opponents stacked all of their utility into office.
Yep. And that was only, and as well, if I recall, that was a workshop take too that they ended up losing it on, so.
Not a big deal.
Also, Mocket plays very differently from OrgLess, so.
Yeah.
Also something to keep in mind. Almost identical setup here from OrgLess, despite the fact the bomb site is downstairs. Not strange given the way that Border tends to play out, but interesting that this would be the play on behalf of the defenders.
Yeah, clearly OrgLess expecting Reciprocity to go for a clear into office once more, and that seems to be the trend these days, I suppose. We've been seeing this quite a lot, and Reciprocity is committed to that office take, but they've also got players elsewhere. Coming up towards the armory wall, you can see that Zofia trying to do some work. Skies in the main hallway will be spotted out and hit by that Legion goo trap, so he's going to fall back to office and play it a little bit safe. Laxing exposed to Yeti, but clearly not going to lose that fight. As Yeti goes down, Reciprocity now put themselves up a man, and that's the second round that Yeti has gone down early. The
only reason why I would imagine Yeti playing in their solo would be that the hatch inside a monitor/CCTV was opened, allowing him to drop. But that didn't appear to be the case because, well, if you take a look, he gets gunned down in a great pinch from Reciprocity as they go for a second on him, a man. But he'll drop into the steady hands of Crazy from below. He'll get picked back up.
It's likely that whoever downed my man there did not know that he downed him. It might have been through a wall, and of course, as a reminder, there are no point notifications for Pro League players. Retro will take down my man, so Reciprocity put themselves up 2 already. We've got 40 minutes to attack this site, and no roamers left on OrgLess' side as they've been all forced back in. Brian, an excellent shot onto Laxing, as is typical with his gunplay so far today.
40 minutes left in the round, Michael. This is a casual. Okay, we don't have that.
Did I say
time.
40 minutes?
I said 40 minutes. That's okay. 30 seconds now. I guess you could say 40 minutes, and it will feel like an eternity for the defense here as Reciprocity closes in. Mark, tasked with getting the diffuser down and hard destruction in hand, will take down Brian, leaving just Crazy and Acid left to hold off on Reciprocity. Crazy will start things off, and Acid gets one as well, and they'll close that gap. They'll close it in a hurry. Crazy still prone just by the lumber pile. He could pop up at any point to be able to take somebody down. And he sees him, but he cannot land the shots. The SMG-11 better in Skies' hands. Acid will need to try deny this plant. But outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. Foxy will get the final kill, and Reciprocity will take their first attack on the ventilation workshops downstairs.
Excellent job there to Reciprocity, just kill after kill. Ended up working out great for them. Now, we're going to be going back to ventilation, as is expected. As Armory was successful within the last 3 rounds, they are going to have to go to that secondary site. Unlikely to see them deliberately go to customs or tellers unless they were forced to. Now, let's see. Overall, from the lineup, we're seeing a lot of the same here from Reciprocity and OrgLess both. But, oh, this is interesting. A 6-pick off of an IQ into a Maverick. So another one of those replacements for Thatcher, but I find it quite interesting considering Echo is still a thing that could be in play. It isn't in this case. OrgLess have decided to forego the Echo, but it's still quite interesting.
I mean, the Legion was not a bad choice last time. Acid, I think, did quite well on that Legion, not just in terms of intel gathering with the traps being activated, and if Acid is going to play as conservatively and reservedly as he did, then you're going to be able to get as many of those goo mines down as you possibly can before an early pick comes out. So I think that's smart. Also, knowing that there was an IQ on Reciprocity's side almost every single round, Acid was losing his yokai drones early. Because of that, I think that they decided as a team, OrgLess was better served with somebody else. Now, Maverick is an interesting one here. Fabian was on the Hot Breach podcast, I want to say a week or two ago, and mentioned that almost every single composition that G2 comes up with has to be done with a Maverick being played in mind, just because there's so many different ways that he can get around your setup. And I wonder if that's something that NA tends to do as well, or if it's a uniquely G2 or a European thing.
Quickly into the bathroom here. Foxay is going to open up a hole and, oh, narrowly missed out on a kill there. Very close to finding his target, and it doesn't seem that Brian is actually aware. He's still looking the wrong way. As the Thermite attempts to open up the wall, he will be stopped by the Mute Jammer. This is such efficiency, but oh, some serious mistakes being made by Reciprocity. This guy's going to shoot the exothermic charge before the nade even detonates. I'm not sure what he was thinking. It might have made it out alive in that situation, but either way, some serious mistakes being made by Team Reciprocity. They had a nice, well-calculated rush in through tellers, but it has now stalled out and is fully given away to OrgLess.
Just a really poor use of utility there. I mean, it was a mistake, to be fair.
Multiple mistakes, though.
The good news is that you do have a Maverick who could possibly just cut open the bottom of the barricade and be able to take out the Mute Jammer behind it. The amount of soft destruction that Reciprocity is doing on the other side of the map, in towards custom/passports, you got to imagine that Acid's position is known. You have both Skies and Laxing trying to pick off this Legion. And after a bit of a frustrating set with the lack of results, there you go. Laxing hops onto the drone to try and figure out exactly where the location is of the cargo shorts-wearing operator with his drone being shot. I'd imagine that they probably have a good assumption, but no real knowledge. You still got the man up top. And this OrgLess defense is holding steady, I want to say, even though you just lost 2 members in the plant. Ready to go down. Mark is in sight, and OrgLess is nowhere to be found. Reciprocity reading into this perfectly, knowing that you just need to push in towards the site. Plan has been abandoned for the time being. Final minute to go.
Team Reciprocity just trying to play it safe right now. So Mark is waiting for his opportunity, but Brian still danger close, and here we go. The diffuser going down. Skies will as well. Brian with the rush will take out Mark. That was the planter. OrgLess now in a man advantage with Skies still on the floor. He will be finished off by Brian, who has been playing this round to perfection. Retro will take out my man, though, evening us back up. Now we're in a 2-on-2. Brian on low HP, Retro on low HP. Could go either way. With 28 seconds, Acid is going to play it as poorly as possible, and Retro will get a free kill because of it, Laxing the final kill, and Reciprocity will take the round.
That was simply OrgLess realizing we're out of time, we only have 1 body on site. If I don't make my move now, I might not get back alive. But you go the wrong way. Which is really puzzling for Acid, because you know that Reciprocity has bodies stacked up over on the side of East Stairs. That's exactly where Skies and Laxing were playing. So what do? You push towards East Stairs. You vault through the window. In Passport or Border Control at the bottom, right into the line of sight of Retro. Really suspect decision-making skills there, especially when you could have tried to rotate in through ventilation door, through the front of workshop door. You had opportunities. You had avenues, and yeah, you might get cut down in the corridor by the bottom of the stairs, but that's a lot better than vaulting through a window right into the Lion's Maw.
Yeah, and it's definitely a safer rotation too. It's a narrow angle, and you're moving, you know, perpendicular to the angle that they're going to be playing, so it's going to be a pretty hard shot for anybody to hit. Yeah, it was a mistake made, and ended up costing OrgLess the round. I mean, Brian, again, I will say this, Brian has been playing absolutely phenomenally for his team, but it's not everything. You know, you can't rely just on Brian getting all the frags.
I mean, you could,
but they, honestly,
and you might lose.
If we're taking a step back here, that round that OrgLess managed to win on Armory last time they were here, Brian was really showing up for them. And he was a big part of why that actually happened. But not the entire part. There was also the C4 from Crazy and just the overall good play from OrgLess. Yeti stayed alive for a long time. And anyway, moving on. We're back to Armory for the third time here. And OrgLess definitely really want to take this, as the Reciprocity have been looking in good form so far in this match. See the mute being a huge factor once again here for OrgLess, and it's going to have to be a hurdle that Reciprocity will have to jump over.
Very disappointed in the way that OrgLess has established those mute jammers and provided very minimal coverage for them as well. I understand that Retro's Twitch drone is designed to take out your mute jammers, but he's getting them for free, as we touched upon in those 2 rounds.
Someone needs to cover the mute jammers.
Absolutely.
Just like you would cover a mirror window.
Which is what the mute looked like he was doing. It did appear that Crazy was sitting on top of it inside of Fountain and inside of offices, rotating in and out. Crazy's going to take out Fox, so at least he's going to be aggressive enough in his actual play. It's whether his gadgets will be able to maintain on the board or not.
Yeah, so that's really good for OrgLess managing to get that man advantage. They really do need every advantage they can get so far, and oh no, Retro again. Crazy is doing his best. It's not working out though. Mark will miss an opportunity there, but it was a narrow shot and can't really blame him. But oh, you can definitely blame him for that. Crazy landing an excellent shot onto Mark. That's the hard breacher once again gone.
And that was a big mistake from Mark as well. Crazy's mute, or the mute jammer that Crazy lost, was on the separate panel from where the exothermic charge was. Mark simply could have peeled off the one, put it on the other, and then tried to go in from that route, knowing that you would have been more exposed though, because that panel that Mark would have opened up would have been all the way in towards CCTV and monitor. So obviously a very conscious decision that was made by Reciprocity. But that decision just cost you your hard breach, and is now going to put Reciprocity in a position where, number one, they're in a 3v5, and number two, very similar set of circumstances that we saw previously when the hard breach went down early and Reciprocity could not make the changes necessary. They have not flushed out CCTV. That's exactly where Yeti is going to sit on his ACOG-laden throne, and he'll pick off yet another member of Reciprocity.
So 2 rounds where Crazy gets the hard breacher, and 2 rounds, it seems, where OrgLess takes the win. Unless Laxing and Retro are going to give us an excellent clutch in the last 40 seconds of this round. It does seem unlikely as the gas canisters start to pop inside of B. Brian still has 2 more, and he's just waiting patiently. He knows the Twitch has nothing that it can do to take out that smoke, but oh, what a shot from Retro! That is one of the tightest angles you can hit in this entire game between that the metal bar and the metal plate. And a very impressive shot there from the Twitch. But there's no time. 13 seconds left to go, and Laxing's moving his way down the main hallway. He'll die to my man, and that's a great job to the Jaeger. But Retro gets his second, going for the third, but will not be able to get it. OrgLess take their second round total in this matchup on the same defense as the first.
It's a beautiful trick shot there from Acid to look down the rail of his gun instead of through the actual ACOG himself. Very impressive aiming in a sight that very few people would be able to look through.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a joke, Michael.
I did not catch it.
That's okay, it's fine.
I actually don't know what you said. I was writing something down. I'm sorry, Parker.
It's okay.
You guys should see his face right now. He looks defeated.
I was very proud of that one. Anyway, 2 important tools, probably the 2 most important in order to take control of offices and then begin your assault on the archives, were lost at the very start of that push. Number 1, the IQ, which allowed both of Acid's yokai drones to stay in play until the very end. You saw that one of the yokai drones was positioned in archives, looking down in a position where it could cover all 3 entryways: the vents entrance through the window, the balcony entrance, and then the entrance through Fountain. You don't have an IQ on the board. The only thing that's going to be able to see it, other than just simply an eye test, is going to be the Twitch drone with the taser. And you might be out of charges by then. Or maybe you're not looking for it. Maybe you don't see it. Maybe it's in a position where the Twitch drone can't even reach it, depending on the map or depending on the site. So that's why IQ is paramount in that circumstance. But Foxay got lost early on. Second, even though you were able to take out one of the mute jammers in part thanks to Retro's play, Mark basically took a heads-up challenge, and on a 50-50, he lost it. Those are 2 of your most important tools to secure the site and get your push off. Losing the hard breach is fine, as long as you can bait out the smokes, as long as you can take out the yokai drones. But with 20 seconds left, 30 seconds left, Michael, Brian still had 2 toxic canisters remaining, and there were still yokais left from Acid.
Yeah, definitely a well-played round there from OrgLess, managing to position themselves properly, but also getting those 2 lucky kills early on, like you talked about with the IQ and the Thermite. Now, moving into this round, here's the dangerous thing for OrgLess. They have yet to win a ventilation defense. They've gone to it twice, they've lost it twice. And they lost their first attempt on Armory despite winning the other two. So if Reciprocity is able to win vents for the third time in a row, ending the half 4-2, I mean, that's a really great way to start the match for Reciprocity. And going into their defensive half, they're going to be extremely confident, I'm sure. So we'll see if they're able to pull that off. They're starting things off yet again with a take into office. One thing that I will note is that Reciprocity has been very inefficient this round. They've already used a minute, and they've accomplished nilch. So they're definitely going to have to, or zilch, excuse me. Well, whatever. Moving on. They haven't accomplished anything, and they definitely need a little bit more control, maybe some picks. OrgLess are playing extremely passive, though, so part of this is Reciprocity's caution. Another part is the same on OrgLess' side.
Yeah, the Thatcher ban proving to be quite a smart idea as well from OrgLess here with the mute jammer, or the mute jammers really getting a lot of value, though. I will give a lot of credit to Retro for his ability to be able to take those jammers out, and rather a lot falling on OrgLess for failing to protect those jammers correctly. You know, this is typically a very Oregon-heavy strat, as you mentioned. That's where you see Thatcher get banned out. Ooh, beautiful shot from Skies. Oh my! Wow. The top of ventilation just outside, looking all the way in onto the dock inside of CCTV. That's a crushing blow.
What does Skies do as a player? He lands the shots.
He does.
That's what he does.
You've got a bit of a slow pace being set from Reciprocity, as you mentioned, and it really hasn't picked up at any point. 40 seconds left with 9 bodies still in play here. Utility from OrgLess in the hands of the toxic canisters. And another failure from Skies to be able to finish off Crazy, though. It's the same position that he took the dock from. Crazy's rotated over and he'll hold the wall, just looking in towards Archives. It's going to be an advantage here, though, if Skies doesn't look the right way, as Reciprocity puts up 2 on the board, but there you go. Skies makes quick work of what little was left of Crazy, leaving Acid as the only member of OrgLess against 3 from Reciprocity. 10 seconds to go. Destruction from above. Acid trying to patrol way too many areas. It's going to see 1. He'll take out Skies, but his position given away. The dynamic duo of Skies and Laxing, as Laxing is able to take out Acid. And as you said, Michael, calling it very correctly, OrgLess might be all right on Armory. Their Achilles heel right now is that workshop site. They drop every single chance that they go there. It's a 4-2 split for Reciprocity in the first half.
The real kicker though, for OrgLess is the fact that they lost Armory the first time there. I mean, there's no other way they were going to be able to defend it 3 times around, so I suppose it doesn't really matter in the long run. They potentially could have won it, and then won it again, and then still ended the half 4-2 if they were forced to go to a different site. But at the same time, it really, yeah, is not going to instill a lot of confidence in you as a player that you only managed to take Armory twice of the 3 times you went there, and that's all you got from your defensive half on a map like Border. So OrgLess now in a really tricky spot, I have to say. Going into the second half, I don't know that they're going to be filled with confidence based on that first, but we'll see. Maybe they show us something extreme to pull out rabbit from the hat. Team Reciprocity in that last round, very patient is the word I would use. The caution, I think, was a little bit too much, but they managed to make it work in the end. They came very close to losing on time, but at the same time, Reciprocity pulled it out, and that's all that really matters. So yeah, good job to them.
Looking at the numbers just in terms of kills and deaths that we see on both sides of this coin here, Retro's 10 kills, 2 deaths. The lack of deaths is what's really most telling about that. You've been having Retro as a backup entry. He hasn't been one of your 2 main prongs. In a lot of ways, Reciprocity have been using Skies and Laxing to do that, with Foxe subbing in some rounds to take point. And then you have Retro basically flank watching, holding off, tight angles, F2 in hands. And if you're playing Twitch every single round, well, it's inarguably probably the best gun in the game. So you've got a good steady hand who's landing his shots. He can make a lot of different operators work. We've seen Retro on Ash, we've seen him on Blackbeard, we've seen him on Thatcher, now we see him on Twitch. A lot of flexibility there, and he's really cleaning up for his team. And carrying the weight without having to entry too, which is most impressive.
And Retro definitely an interesting player. It's good to see him coming back. My man, what is this? Using the skeleton key to perfection. Must have had information on Foxe inside of customs, and he will get a very free kill early on. That was the Pulse, who obviously is going to want to play underneath and try to use the destructible floor slash stealing to his advantage, but it will be used against him. Great job again to the Buck of Maman. Now, they're going to be working their way into Armory, and so far, this is actually the most efficient Armory take we've seen. It's also the only Armory take we've seen so far in this match, because we never saw anything other than an office take from Reciprocity.
Yeah, I mean, the Mute Jammers are going to be very effective on both sides of things as well, and if you've got good protection on behalf of the way that Mark is playing this, then you can essentially not really worry about Office, not really worry about Fountain, not really worry about Archives, and just solely focus on the Armory side of things. The biggest issue is at the soft destruction, which Reciprocity was running quite a bit of, Michael, and now we see OrgLess having in spades with the Ashe, the Zofia, and the Buck, will mean that the only downstairs player of Reciprocity, Fox A, being off the board, will be a huge hindrance. Though, don't discredit the fact that Laxing, who could possibly be primed for a run out outside of East Stairs, but there's nobody there. He gets detected for just a second. That is rough. But it also looked like he was heading downstairs, which could put a thorn in the side of OrgLess.
Yeah, Laxing is just doing his best to stay alive and distract for as long as possible, but the detection is going to give away his intent. Unfortunately for him, it's really hard to flank onto a CCTV Armory take, and OrgLess clearly thinking of that when they go for this push. The grenade from Buck primed and ready. Maman will not throw it out, though. There's still an ADS, I believe, in play. He only has the one left, and he's waiting for his opportunity, but also watching for that potential run out from below that Mark is set up for right now. The rush in here from OrgLess, they're in small office and by Lucker Sandwich. Crazy will get two as he enters. Retro and Skies go down, that's leaving it just on the roamers. Not going to be an easy recovery here for Reciprocity, and Laxing, as he comes back to site, will go down, leaving just Mark. He's used his C4 already. He doesn't even have a shotgun to open the ceiling, and he will now be in a 1 versus 5, a perilous situation. He has 3 lit operators on the enemy team, but now he himself will be on just over 25 HP and finally die to Yeti. OrgLess take their first round on attack, and in dominant fashion, a perfect round, losing nobody.
Yeah, flawless round's a pretty good way to start things off, I'd say.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's going to definitely instill you with quite a lot of confidence.
Yeah, that was OrgLess making it look easy, actually. Which is very surprising, because I feel like every time we see Reciprocity play defense, they can often be very smothering. And very difficult to smother a team that always seems to breathe life into different parts of the map with the way that they play. I don't know, OrgLess is a bit of an enigma when you really look at it, in the way that you don't really know what they're going to do round through round through round. I mean, I hope they know what they're going to do round through round, but for us, there's a lot of unpredictability in the way that they play. It can catch their opponents off guard, and I think that's why they're able to keep even with so many teams that are just as aggressive, but also more strat-based too.
I mean, OrgLess is unpredictable not only from round to round, but also from match to match. I mean, you look at their record so far for the season. First play day, a loss to Rogue. Second play day, a win against Rise, and a dominant win, 7-1. Third play day, a loss to EXG, and then they draw Space Station, which is, again, that's impressive. Space Station have been playing pretty well so far. I say they've been playing pretty well. They have 3 draws and 1 loss, but no, they've been playing well. You know, as a team, they haven't got a great record yet, but I think they've definitely got the potential. They qualified for the Invitational. Anyway, moving on from that, they draw against SSG, and no, I don't think many people expected that. So yeah, OrgLess have so much potential, and we see them do some incredible things, but they have yet to really fully realize that potential, and those incredible things are still, you know, sparse, all things considered.
All right, how will we see Reciprocity respond as this gap between these two teams has shrunk by 1 round and allowed OrgLess and enabled OrgLess to be very aggressive on their first assault? Well, it's going to be their second crack at it. We'll go back upstairs to Armory. This has been a site that both teams lost the very first time. You're hoping that for Reciprocity fans, that they're able to take this round in hand, push them closer to match point, as well as give them a little bit of breathing room between OrgLess and themselves in what has been probably more of a back and forth than I think some people definitely anticipated, especially given Reciprocity's success through this season and OrgLess, their struggles at the start, but it looked like a new team so far as they've continued onwards. I wonder how much that has to go to their coaching as well. Keep in mind that Unreal Ghost Sniper has been the one at the hand of the tiller for OrgLess in terms of their strat work and all that jazz, and obviously having a coach at this level is incredibly vital to being successful.
Mark gets the first kill there. Reciprocity put themselves up 1, and that's the IQ. Definitely a very important kill considering the pulse and potentially Valkyrie cams are still in play. As much as that has happened, though, we did see Yeti get the batteries from below, and because of that, enter in through the armory wall is now an option. OrgLess are still in a decent position despite losing that man early on. They can get back into this match. My man is looking to try and open some things up from below, but he's got enemies to confront in ventilation and workshop, so he's not able to just walk in downstairs. Because nobody's droning for him, he will have to drone for himself, and that is inefficiency to the max. Yeti, though, has seen an opportunity. Mark, the only one holding onto the B bomb site. This could be a giant win for OrgLess if he seizes it. And he will. Yeti takes down Mark, and now OrgLess have full control over Archives.
What a play there from Yeti, and the patience to not take it out, but oh, Yeti, you have to sheath that! Put your gadget away! Skies, bobs, and weaves, and he'll collapse on Yeti. A good refrag. It takes a little bit of time, but it's motivated the rest of his team. Michael and Laxing has come to life too, taking out my man, leaving Crazy and Brian to try and assault this armory wall. You can see that the electrified bandit wire is still there, and another peek from Reciprocity is a great crossfire established. Crazy trades one off after Skies goes down, but there's Retro there to finish things off, and Crazy will bid us adieu, leaving Reciprocity on a 5-3 advantage, taking the round and playing out exactly the same as we saw when OrgLess was on defense.
So, I have to say that really should have been an OrgLess round for a number of different reasons. A little bit of negligence there on Reciprocity's side, playing only one player by Archives to defend that B-bomb site. And he goes down with relative ease, playing an odd position, unable to challenge the Ash of Yeti. But the real mess up there was on OrgLess' side. They had full control of Archives, but they didn't know it. Why didn't they know it? They weren't gathering nearly enough information. They were sticking to their static strategy of let's attack armory wall. And Yeti tried his best as an individual to try and seize a different opportunity to give his team a different rotation. But once he found that rotation, getting the opening kill onto the bandit, nothing came of it from OrgLess. What needed to happen immediately after that was Yeti just hold down the site. But why didn't he do that? I hear you wondering. Why didn't he just hold the rotation? It's one doorway, right? He didn't know that the site was clear. He had no way to know because no one had droned it and he hadn't droned it. What he was trying to do there was use the Ash charge to open up a bigger angle to make holding that rotation between site easier, but it was really poor timing on Yeti's side, and there's no way he could have known that the Jaeger was going to rush back into site. All things, I mean, that Jaeger rushing back into site was a little bit weird. I think we could be honest. He knew he needed to regain control of Archives, but the way he did it was just odd. Left himself very exposed. Either way, I'm surprised. The main thing that surprised me is that OrgLess didn't rotate anybody else after Yeti got that initial frag. I would have expected everybody to say, hey, let's take offices, and the full rotation come out. But it didn't happen, and OrgLess lost the round because of it.
Another thing, too, is how Reciprocity played a lot more of a forward-thinking defense on that round, in the sense that they weren't as patient. They didn't let OrgLess come into them. They took the fight to them, which is actually something we've seen an awful lot of teams start doing this season.
Yeah, it does work out, I think, better in general.
Yeah, I mean, and it was Wilkie who said in the interview that we did just a couple days ago that if you allow a team like G2 to take their time, they will hunt you down, they will beat you off one by one, and I think that's a strategy that a lot of teams have employed, obviously. It's become a lot more commonplace. Because of that, if you deny these attackers the ability to set up, either because you might take out a very important tool that they have that round, or maybe somebody who's integral to a strategy, then you end up with a massive advantage moving through because the attackers can't transition around that.
Yeah, well, Yeti not expecting that and costing his team. But here in this round, OrgLess looking to attack through offices. They've tried to hit armory from the armory wall 2 rounds in a row. This time they're going on to ventilation, but the defense is very much the same. An excellent shot from Yeti there, really making up for the last round early on. He's going to take down the Jaeger. Hopefully all those ADSs were in play already.
You had 4 bodies from OrgLess stacked up on an office side things just to try and clear out the Archives before they transition downstairs. You also had Acid over on Armory Wall, so a bit of a split effort. Though he'll hop off drone and, well, it looks like he's sprinting on over to join the rest of his team. My man takes out Fox A, and Reciprocity finds themselves fighting from behind in a 3v5 with time very much on OrgLess' side. Keep in mind that this is Workshop downstairs, which has not been won successfully by a defense just yet, but Retro What is this big brain play? He'll charge right into my man, and these two forces will meet head on inside of the bathroom, giving Brian some awareness. But on Reciprocity's side, Skies and Retro, both very low on HP, means that it's not going to take all that much from OrgLess. You miss a couple shots, and well, they'll be doomed. Crazy, right now at the doorway, he's going to flash right in, and he's going to try to engage on Retro, but oh, Skies has his back. And Reciprocity with a great recovery. But finally, Retro will get taken down due to Brian. And with not much time left, Reciprocity's going to have to hold on. There goes Laxing to Brian, picking up an excellent double kill, and then Skies will now try to head in towards the main hallway, and it's Brian there to take him out. The Thermite, or the Fragmite, some might say. Grabbing 3 kills to end the round, an impressive recovery from OrgLess to once again put this back 1 round apart.
So this is so far exactly the same as what we saw in the first half in terms of attack and defense and who's been winning what. So, yeah, I mean, if we see it repeat as it has, then we will see a ventilation successful defense here from Reciprocity, and we'll see if they can pull that off. Now, actually, no. If it repeats, we'll see OrgLess take the win, and then we'll go up to 5-5. So that'll be interesting if it happens. But given that was first attempt there from Reciprocity on that ventilation defense, I'm sure that they're going to be able to adjust the way that they hold the site second time around and correct many of the mistakes that they made in that previous one. To be fair to Reciprocity, some of the mistakes there were just OrgLess playing exceptionally well. Brian especially was in the right place at the right time at almost every opportunity. Apart from that, we saw Yeti's really tight shot from all the way from office wall into Armory Sandwich, I believe it was. It was a pretty long angle, but whatever exact angle it was very well shot by Yeti, and I'm sure that Reciprocity was not expecting that to happen. So, in all fairness to them, OrgLess just had a pretty exceptional round there.
I can almost guarantee that the comms on Mark's side of things were, what?
And
somebody on the team, where'd you die from? I have no idea, man.
Yeah. Probably something along those lines, and I'm surprised we didn't see an NS in the chat.
Mark is very, very soft-spoken, though, so I don't imagine there would have been that much weight behind his voice, so to speak. But still, confusion abounds with what happened to Mark.
It was just a really nice shot.
It was a beautiful shot from Yeti, but that's a real style deal, I feel.
Absolutely. Brian working his way towards the armory wall, and he's going to have to wait for the soft destruction from below to deal with those bandit batteries. And there you go. It's the Ash of Yeti to get that done. Flashes go in to try and distract along with the Zofia Lifeline, and he's going to go for that Thermite charge, but Flash himself and have to walk back a little bit there. Brian, I think, is overthinking this just a little bit too much, but you could see that Fox A has committed to bandit tricking, and he has gotten those batteries back down.
There's 2 bodies playing right now by Armory Wall. You've got Fox A and Fox A and Mark, both playing on the 2 German operators, and finally, after a utility dump in through that Armory doorway, will we finally see it? But oh! A beautiful nade will take out the exothermic charge, and that actually looks like it was tossed in by my man. That is unlucky, to say the least. Finally, after a minute and a half of a plodding push, we see OrgLess get that wall open. And it took a lot to get that done.
Yeah, quite a lot of utility, absolutely. Both the Ash charges and a lot of the Zofia Lifeline, flashes, grenades, and 2 exothermic charges. So expensive, but it's done now. And OrgLess can start their push into small office and lockers. It's going to be slow still, though. You can see you've got the Castle of Retro playing on that drop down just above the server stack. He's got an interesting angle he can work with there. Some mark work being made there by Mark probably earlier in the round, but he's playing by Sandwich, waiting to hold this down. And no, OrgLess doesn't clear out Sandwich. And 2 for Mark, a 3rd! Insane gunplay from Mark, and he gets a 4th of the down on Yeti. He doesn't know it yet, but he has a potential 4K waiting for him to claim if he just gets a little bit aggressive. It might have been called out by his team, and he will make that push happen. Brian now the last alive, and Mark goes for it with the pistol out. Will he get it? Oh yes, a 5K from Mark, walking into every possible angle and absolutely destroying OrgLess.
It happened again.
Every time I start casting, then people get aces, man. Well, let's not detract from Mark's ace there.
And the other thing too, the most important part about what just happened was more the fact that Mark has not really been in any position to be able to collect frags so far through this matchup. He propels his team up onto match point by a great singular effort, almost losing it because it looked like the collapsing body of Crazy Zofia absorbed all of the bullets that Mark was spraying from inside of Sandwich with nobody being aware. How do you spend that much utility to open up the armory wall and not know that there's still somebody playing in there? Did your drones break? Do you have none left? Because there's 1:30 left in this round. If you've got 3 to 4 bodies all pushing armory side and not a single one of those people have even one drone, then you're doing something very wrong.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was poor utility usage from OrgLess, but you really have to put it on OrgLess' shoulder as a whole team just for not doing one simple thing, and that's droning out Sandwich. And if you're not going to drone out Sandwich, then check it. You know, when you're making that push happen, you have to gather the information. But it didn't happen, and Mark, as it turns out, excellent gunplay on the Jaeger, able to put his team in just a win. I mean, all on his shoulders. I have to say, though, I do think that Reciprocity would have been able to recover that round if he hadn't gotten the ace, regardless, because we saw, I think, a pretty good use of time delay using Armory from Reciprocity, and then they got out of that with plenty of bodies still in play, so it would have been really difficult for OrgLess to win that if the ace had not come out.
Yeah. Think about all the things that it took on that armory wall, by the way. You saw 3 flash grenades. You saw 2 frag grenades go out. I might have mistakenly attributed the destruction of that exothermic charge to a man missing a frag grenade, but it actually looked like Retro's castle was playing downstairs by the doorway to workshop with the hatch open in a small office and threw an impact through that and hit the door frame, or even just outside. And because of that, excellent play. And that's obviously something that is orchestrated. It's really not that kind of on-the-fly decision-making that tends to happen. So, all in all, pretty impressive. Not just in terms of the way that Mark played that, but also from the rest of Reciprocity, the cavalry we'll call it. So, we look at this bomb site. We're back upstairs for Armory because the site rotation has gone off.
And we're on match point now. That's the big thing. Based off that play from Mark, I mean, we're now in a position where Reciprocity have broken the mold, and they could easily take this match right here, right now. In the last half of this round, as there's been a very slow take from OrgLess so far, and the first death is on OrgLess' side. Mark's still playing inside a fountain, and he gets one for himself, continuing his trend of excellent gunplay. OrgLess now find themselves in a corner.
Yeah, excellent job from Mark to come alive, but Foxay as well taking out one of his own, and that's utility from OrgLess that is gone, and that is a damning play on behalf of OrgLess to lose your Thermite and your Buck. A little questionable as to why my man has not been playing more downstairs and playing just simply this linear horizontal play rather than vertical play. I mean, that's obviously a specific decision behind why OrgLess does this. But it's match point, so you're going to need OrgLess to come alive. Both Crazy and Acid will do so with Foxay and Retro falling, putting us at a 3v3. Acid's pass in towards the site will be slowed down for just a second, but he's still going to be able to frag, even if he does have a goo mine in his foot. Laxing trades it off, and Acid is there with a 3K of his own. He's going to look for a 4th, and you can hear the telltale signs of the commando as he's going to tussle with Laxing. The MPX of Laxing will not be able to connect, and Acid a triumphant 4K, and will push us to the final round. So at minimum, you're going to have Reciprocity take 1 point, Michael, but this is still anybody's game, and OrgLess, over the last 2 weeks, has looked just so damn good, and they're continuing it today.
Absolutely. But it's still Team Reciprocity in the driver's seat. They only need that 1 round. They're doing their best to avoid the draw. Reciprocity really doesn't want to draw out this situation. They're making plays for the top positions in North America. Obviously, it's going to be hard for them to catch up to EG at this point, but it's still doable. And if they get a draw here, that's going to seriously blunt their momentum. OrgLess, on the other hand, have not been having a great season overall, and they need every win that they can get. So there's a lot of pressure on both teams' shoulders here to take this. OrgLess can't, obviously. The most they can get out of this is the 1 point. But Team Reciprocity are really vying for those 3. And all they need to do is win in this next 3 minutes.
Try and put into perspective how important this matchup is. Number one, Reciprocity are trailing Evil Geniuses by 2 points at the moment. With 10 points through their first 4 games, Reciprocity is going to walk away with at least 1. So it's not enough to push them into first place overall. And of course, we have EG versus DZ up next. So it's a possibility that Reciprocity's lead on that standing, should they win here, would only end up being a couple minutes, maybe an hour at absolute most. Depending on what happens in that match, of course, Michael. But with the way that NA has played out so far this season, the top 3 teams are running away with it at the moment. All 3 of them are sitting in double-digit points, with the next closest being OrgLess in 4th with 4 points. So, OrgLess need to be able to collect that 1 point. It'll only push them to 5 points. They'll stay in 4th place. But keep in mind that all those teams below them are going to be playing today. And because you have Dark Zero and EG playing in a matchup of their own, and Reciprocity here playing against OrgLess, that means that the remaining 4 teams beneath OrgLess, they're all going to be playing separate matches, and they all have an opportunity to get at least 1 to 3 points and vault over OrgLess in the standings.
Absolutely. Now, Team Reciprocity still has players downstairs. It's going to be Laxing and Foxay in a duo roam, doing their best to delay this round. Also, deny the soft destruction from below. You've got the Buck, you've got the Ash in a position from OrgLess. They're trying to open up that floor and do some damage. Speaking of trying to do damage, Laxing will miss his C4 in an attempt to take out one of Team OrgLess's players just outside. A little bit too aggressive there, and I mean, we talked about how that defensive meta is to be, you know, aggressive, to try and disrupt the attack before they can establish themselves. But that's a little bit too much on the side of Laxing, and some wasted utility. Meanwhile, the armory wall has been opened up by OrgLess, and they're looking to also open up that wall into the small office. Crazy will accomplish that feat.
This armory defense that we saw so aggressive from Reciprocity before has fallen off just a tiny bit. So it's going to be Retro playing by the bomb chassis of A, and that's going to be the only real person that's even close. But it's basically going to be free real estate. This Crazy vaults right on in, takes out Retro. Sky trades him off, playing in this doorway right next to the pillars. But there's Laxing to take out Yeti in the door frame. Rather, as Foxay grabs one of his own acid, is there. Foxay still from below, a beautiful double kill. And as acid gets the diffuser down, Michael, the only diffuser that's been planted so far in this match, he's gonna head for the hills. 50 HP up against a Valkyrie, a Pulse, and a Legion. Reciprocity have basically been handed this round, as Acid is now gonna vault all the way down to the main floor and come back up on Repel. 7 seconds is the timing for the diffuser. Mark is gonna vault right out, and the Shark, he's gonna be in dangerous waters, but he's gonna be able to grab it. And look at that, Reciprocity by the skin of their teeth. Pretty impressive final round, and they were swift, being able to push back against the aggressiveness from OrgLess to storm in through the armory wall. A great read from Reciprocity, and they still remain without a loss. 4 wins and 1 draw in the season, and for a brief period of time, they will at least be guaranteed to take first overall in NA, barring what happens in that EG-DZ matchup coming up next.
Well, it was definitely an excellent match from both teams. OrgLess put up a heck of a fight, but Reciprocity managing to win it in the end. A big part of that is Mark's ace there, close to the last couple rounds, putting Reciprocity on that match point. That really upset the flow of the match overall. It was the first round that broke free of the record from the first half in the second half. So well done to him, well done to his team for managing to lock it out there. And yeah, Reciprocity now in a good position, but we've got up next EG versus DZ rather, and the big thing for me there is that if there's any team that's going to upset the record for Evil Geniuses, it might just be Dark Zero.
EG have played the second least amount of rounds, and they are perfect so far. They've been absolutely bulldozing through their competition. But we'll save that for the second matchup here. Reciprocity versus OrgLess. This is a win for Reciprocity, but I want to say this. This is a pretty big win for OrgLess as well. They have come so close every single game over the last 2 weeks to winning, and they've just been a hair's, what is it, like a hair away? So we'll bring up Foxy's interview, though, and we'll compliment Reciprocity, and we'll go through the mines. And a man that we have seen many times so far this season. Foxy, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I am doing exceptionally well, just as your team tends to be doing right now. Now, the interview questions for you might be getting a little bit consistent here because you keep winning so darn much. Now, with the way that this team is playing, I want you to walk me through the way that you used Retro in this matchup. There's been a lot of fluidity in the way that your team plays in regards to their roles. Sometimes you and Skies will entry together. Sometimes you and Laxing will entry together. But today, your top fragger was Retro, who by no means was playing aggressive roles. On Twitch, you had him largely flank watching and playing at the back, and then he played smoke on defense. How do you use a player like Retro inside the grand scheme of things with Reciprocity?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with our team is that everyone's able to play any role. And first of all, I want to give a huge props to OrgLess. They played really good there. They kind of like surprised us a lot. It looked like they really did bring a lot of new stuff. Like they banned the Thatcher. Like they were trying to get us to play their game. So when we saw the Thatcher ban, we just decided to, we need something that could potentially get mutes or bandit tricks off. And we knew that they were going to be playing probably like Echo or Legion or Valk because they love Valk. So that's why instead of one of us switching a role, we kind of stayed in our role, and Retro was able to, since like he would be playing Thatcher in that position, instead he just took that Twitch and played it really well. So yeah, it just goes to show that our team can just flex to whatever we need.
Yeah, we mentioned actually at the start of the broadcast that he would often, we've seen him on Ashe, we've seen him on Blackbeard, we've seen him on that Thatcher role and now on the Twitch, and it seems like he can kill with most operators in his hands. One thing that has kind of flown under the radar for your team is the addition of your new coach, Hopes, and I want you to walk me through exactly the impact that he's had on that team, because I've seen various members of your roster go on Twitter and sing his praises, but I don't really think there's been a big enough spotlight on him, and I want you to have the opportunity to talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, we love Hopes. I won't say too much because he wants everyone to think he's bad, but he's a really good coach. He does everything we need, and it's nice being able to ask for something, and then as soon as we ask, like he has like the stat, like whatever, we just ask something and he does it. I don't know. It's nice. It's nice. We're kind of all mess around. So he's like the focal point, the adult figure, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good way of putting it. Now, how much of when you go into a match are preset strats from him? How much of that are preset strats from you and the rest of the team, from Mark I gelling, and how much of that are calls that are made in the middle of a match, and maybe even calls that you have kind of preset and are coming?
So, well, since we picked up Hopes and Skies, a lot of our strats, it's kind of like how we play, and we give a lot of room, a lot of movement room, and it's just kind of like through scrims and practice we can see what works, what doesn't work. So we have some like set stuff. Sometimes we have players who just feeling themselves. Mark got the ace one round, so of course like we're not going to tell him to like fall back if he's like gunning everyone. So I don't know. I think it's really like mostly in the moment, but we definitely have a lot of like there's like a border, like we have a lot of outlines, and then Hopes is really good. Hasn't really done like a ton of strat creation with us, but he helps us, and he has a lot of like the stats and information, and the more we practice, of course, we're going to use him more for creating strats. But I think we kind of picked him up in a point where we like just picked up Skies, we're getting new stuff and everything, so I don't know, I guess we'll have to see for Invitational.
Well, your team does look quite hungry, and yeah, just a couple weeks away from your trip to Montreal, and for you, it's going to be a trip back home to Montreal, so a homecoming there of sorts. Anything to say to your fans, the viewers, sponsors, your team, etc. at the end of this interview?
Thank you guys for supporting us. I appreciate every one of you. My team appreciates every one of you. Everyone at Reciprocity, we love you guys for supporting us. We appreciate all of it. We're going to see you at Invite. And yeah, big shout out to OrgLess. I mean, like they were so annoying to play against. Like just the amount of new stuff they brought. I think if we were any other team, they probably would have got it. So yeah, I look forward to seeing them improve and get more W's throughout the season. So thank you.
Quite a nod of respect to your opponents. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Perfect.
It's great to see that.
Yeah, that showmanship, that show of support, and good sportsmanship. Not showmanship necessarily, but more sportsmanship. It is nice to see teams share.
Absolutely. And, well, I mean, while Reciprocity definitely earned it, I think Foxy's right. OrgLess had a really good match overall. And they definitely are starting, I think, their comeback. I think we can expect them to do better towards the end of this half and potentially also in that second half.
Yeah. So, not to be outdone in a close matchup that required every single round. We'll see if EG can continue their efficiency up against Dark Zero. These two teams, they know each other, and you know them, and you love them. We'll be back after this break with our second match of the day, Evil Geniuses versus Dark Zero.